BraveHeart Women's Show. I have my friend and namesake, um, Alicia, with me, who's in Calgary, and my name is also Alicia. And we wanted to get together today for the BraveHeart Women's Show so we can connect with you all and see how everybody's doing. But we wanted to talk today about infertility. So infertility, I mean, there's tons of reasons for it. You know, some people think it's just one thing, but in fact, it's not. So Alicia is one of our the pelvic restoration and pain-free pelvis course instructors. So she's been learning and getting really versed on all of everything pelvis, right? So Alicia, you've just recently, you've been studying and learning, and you've just recently done the pain-free pelvis. And have you been able to relate, do you think, some of the stuff that you've learned in the pelvic course into infertility?
Absolutely. When you talk about infertility, there's actually a multitude of causes. And I was looking up even just with the medical system, what they suggest the causes are. And so just to list a few of those for you are there's hormonal imbalance. It can literally be scar tissue in the fallopian tubes or around it. It can be as a result of endometriosis. If you had it and had surgery for it, then there can be scar tissue on the uterus, like either on the outside or on the inside, that can cause the issues of fertility. It can also, like for the hormonal thing, it can be an imbalance of production of hormones by the pituitary gland, which is actually the overproduction of prolactin, which interferes with your estrogen levels. And in particular, it'll actually be progesterone. But that being said, there is a multitude of things that you will learn in the pelvic restoration course that can help you deal with. All of those things are actually reversible.
Yeah, isn't that great? So you're talking scar tissue. Okay, and we're both non-surgical practitioners. Scar tissue, what is it, and how did it get into your fallopian tubes?
Well, if you've had surgeries, that can be one thing. But another thing is a lot of us, and in most cases, this scar tissue and displaced calcium, because that can also appear as scar tissue, comes from an inflamed and dysfunctional large intestine. So when that large intestine becomes inflamed, usually from dietary causes, although stinking thinking can very much be a cause of it. So looking at your emotional health and the way you're talking to yourself, and even how you relate to your femininity, because we can store these emotions and then they affect our blood chemistry. It becomes acidic. And now your body is pulling calcium from the bones in the area, whether it be from the pelvis itself, from the spine, and it can settle into the soft tissues because it's using the calcium as a buffer to buffer down the acidity in the areas so that you don't end up with a larger problem down the road, but it's causing immediate problems in the interim. So when you get this inflammation, the large intestine, the tight junctions or the cells open up and become like a screen door in a submarine. So then there's toxic material getting from the intestine into the bloodstream, and this can be a continuous problem that we very much can address.
Yeah, and people don't think, they want to have a baby. They can't seem to have a baby, but they don't make this connection between what they're eating, and again, the stinking thinking, that's like a huge part of it, absolutely. But they don't make that connection between, I ate some Doritos, why can't I get pregnant?
Or I eat cheese every day, or I eat yogurt because... Sorry, you're cutting out there, Alicia, but yes, very much the the what's going into your mouth, with dairy being a big one, to actually trigger the pituitary to produce prolactin. So it interferes with your estrogen, interfering with your hormone levels, and it takes actually a very delicate balance of your hormones to conceive a baby. So if it isn't a particular scar tissue issue yet, it very much can become one, because the imbalance of hormones in itself can create an acidic environment, which is not conducive to conceiving a baby and then maintaining the pregnancy as well, which can be another issue. So in the pelvic course, you actually learn the four pillars to a perfect day and a healthy lifestyle. For a lot of us, that excess inflammation actually causes crystallization within the tissue, so we don't have the same neural connections and control over the pelvic floor muscles, which, again, we need to have exercise on a regular basis. Does it have to be every day? Not necessarily, but having a routine that keeps your body in motion and excreting toxins efficiently and not becoming complacent and then just deciding to store them, which creates a compounded issue.
Exactly. So you're talking exercise, but curious enough, there's more than just your, you can work out your arms, your legs, you move your arms, your lymph nodes and all that stuff, but there's exercises that your pelvis, right, that you can use in your uterus with your vagina, right? And people don't think of that. People don't think that toning and keeping those muscles nice and strong is going to do exactly what you just said.
Yeah, it really is. So it's more than just like going for a walk or lifting weights at the gym. It's learning pelvic activation squats, so you're actually focused on the pelvic floor. And then there's finer exercises where they're actually really small movements, but you're intentionally connecting to those internal muscles, whether it is literally the walls of your vaginal canal, the pelvic floor hammock that's there. It's the pubococcygeal muscles that are like a hammock at the bottom of the pelvis, right? And if those are actually toned and tightened, and it takes an intentional connection, because for a lot of us, we do a lot of sitting, and that actually puts a lot of pressure on those muscles, so they begin to stretch out over time. Or if you've had a baby, that can be a thing where they actually take intentional, you need to tighten it, because most of us have a fairly inflammatory, licky, sticky diet if you're not really thinking about it, because what's put out to us via the food guide or what your average person thinks is a healthy diet is still very much on the inflammatory side of things. So it's what you know, right? And then you can take those little baby steps to improve what you're doing on a daily basis.
I love that you repeated it probably 4 times. You said intentional, the intentional workout, the intention. And that is the beginning of all of it. That is where the focus goes, right? Energy flows. And so putting that intention into, your diet. So making sure that you're focused on your diet and you're focused on your health. You're making sure that you're like you said, you're not eating cheese, you're not, eating the dairy. You're limiting to eliminating at this point at the beginning, all of your dead stuff, right? All of the animals, that type of a thing, and really working on a raw type vegetarian, vegetable based, energetic, whole plant based food. Because in order to create life, you have to be life, So in order to bring life into this world, if you're dying inside, whether your tissues are rotting or like you said, your intestine is leaking and it's like, you can't bring life into this world if you mentally, emotionally, and physically are not connected and whole, right? So intention.
Absolutely. Well, and your microbiome needs to be healthy. It's like a garden and it's full of life. When we're eating a lot of highly refined processed foods, they begin to stick on the walls of our intestine, and then you'll have bacteria that are really there to save your life because they're starting to like digest and eat that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Where if you're getting the right amount of plant fiber in your diet that has living enzymes, there is a balance where it brings your good bacteria back into balance, and they are the intelligence that protect you against a lot of different toxins that are out there. Our body's designed to filter, but you need to support your body to actually complete those processes. And when your diet becomes 80% processed, refined, and foods that have a zero frequency because they're not alive, if you're eating cooked animal products, they're not alive. If you're eating processed refined foods, they are not alive. They have a frequency of zero. So it's not that you can never eat those foods, but definitely if infertility is an issue for you, you need to strip your diet down, have it be simple, and eat foods with life that are helping to regenerate the tissues and give your body what it needs to support life. So when people hear the word never again, they think, oh my God, I could never do that. But it's not about never. It's literally about having the intention to do some house cleaning.
Exactly.
And you know, you can have a party once in a while and your body can clean up the mess, but if
Yeah.
it's a party every day, right, things get out of control, run down, and just, it's the same metaphor but same in your body, right? So it's a combination of things that create ideal health in the body, and it's really about the body terrain, the environment, and you can intentionally support that. Then in the course, you're also going to learn some really powerful meditations and breathing techniques and ways to take your body from stress, because if you're in chronic stress, your brain is a chemist, and this has an effect
Absolutely.
on the hormones that your brain secretes, right? If they're highly inflammatory and it's histamine, adrenaline, and cortisol, again, you're creating a acidic environment that is conducive to inflammation, and it's a domino effect. Where if you learn how to get your body into the parasympathetic state and you're able to intentionally do that, well, now your body's in a state where it can heal and it can be in its natural homeostasis and balance. So it really just comes down, are you willing to love yourself well and take those little daily steps to intentionally self-love and self-care? And as you do it, it becomes easier and second nature, just like tying your shoes or brushing your teeth. It becomes easy. So you add them in
Exactly.
one at a time, but you're going to get the tools in the course to really constructively and proactively improve your health. And if you don't have
Yeah.
pelvic issues already, you're going to prevent them. So those restoration won't be a thing. It'll literally be you're supporting health and vigor for the rest of your life, which hormonal imbalance is so important.
Yeah. And again, that puts it. Oh, that, I mean, since we're talking about the course now, that puts that all together, and it gives you some direction. Whereas, even if somebody's not able to or going to take this course, even if they're just doing, like Lorraine and I were discussing yesterday, taking those baby steps, right? Just say, okay, today I'm going to drink, 3-4 liters of structured water, and then start with that, because that's going to flush it out. And then I'm going to, I'm going to drink the tea, and I'm going to flush it out. So these small steps. And then if you just, it takes massive personal, it's going to change mindset. It's you. And then ultimately, you're going to see change in your body, and then you're going to be able to start really thinking about conceiving, right? Really thinking of conceiving, right? Conceiving, what a great idea, and also just being able to, once you're in a position, I believe, once you're in a physical position where you start to feel really good, then your mind is going to change. You're going to feel better about yourself, and getting pregnant, physical issues, is going to become so much easier,
Yeah, well, it really comes down to the body being in balance, and there are other pelvic courses out there. I have looked at a few, but the balance where this one really brings in the four pillars. You're going to learn about some amazing nutraceuticals that are going to help to clean up the environment, and they're gentle and you can use them daily. And you're going to learn physical exercises that help to tone and tighten both the pelvic floor muscles, the vaginal canal, and then how to intentionally connect with that area in a way that maybe you never really thought of before, because it is a taboo topic, and there is a certain amount of disconnect just within society with, what is a woman? What is sacred femininity? And the womb is the portal of life, and it has amazing healing potential. Like when you learn about the nutraceuticals that you can use in the vaginal canal, they're actually absorbed like 1,000 times better than going in through the digestive tract. So you're able to nourish that area. Like in some cases with infertility, it can be an imbalance of the secretions of the vaginal wall itself. So then learning about the vaginal infusions and using them on a regular basis allows you to infuse nutrition while removing toxicity from that area. Because part of your menstrual cycle is actually to eliminate toxins. That's a big reason why women live longer than men, because we essentially bloodlet every month, right? And it gives our body an opportunity to purge things that we don't need, right? And then you're working on, yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna add to that with the ultimate coffee enema, because
Yeah, absolutely.
As you've got the vaginal infusion, but if you're not removing those toxins, you're not and that the ultimate coffee enema goes in there. It triggers your liver to deposit all of these every 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes, you're getting a new, your liver is trying to push out the toxins. So that's the beginning of cleaning out your colon, which it does, cleaning out, pushing out those toxins, where now the good stuff is coming in, the bad stuff is going out, and you're creating, just like you said, the terrain that becomes this healthy, vibrant, beautiful area.
Yeah, absolutely.
For God's spark.
Yeah, absolutely, which is what procreation is, right? No, the coffee enemas are great. Where caffeine, when it goes in through the mouth, it stimulates the cortisol and adrenaline, so it stimulates acidic hormones. When you use it in the coffee enema, it triggers the liver to literally dump all of its toxins into the large intestine, and because you're getting that lovely water in there, it's warm water washing away the plaquing and swooshing everything out pretty much. So the caffeine has a very beneficial effect, along with assisting with peristalsis, so toning the large intestine. And that's also the palmatic acid that does that as well. And you're getting an influx of your endogenous antioxidants, which is glutathione, which is, who doesn't want some more of that going around?
Okay, so if someone is going to come to you and they were going to say, hey, I can't get pregnant, what would be your steps that you would take? How would you assess this person? What kind of questions would you ask, and what would you recommend? So,
well, I would definitely ask for them to keep a journal to actually see what their diet is currently like, and I would be recommending the whole plant-based diet, which is the perfect day lifestyle. There are some nutraceuticals
does weight have anything to do with it? If I'm overweight?
Absolutely. If you're overweight, then you have a lot of stored inflammation and infection. So that would require you looking at your dietary habits, because that is huge. If you are overweight, your body is storing inflammation and infection. Simple as that. And you're likely not hydrating as well, because just by being dehydrated, your body is going to put on water weight to retain water, because you don't know when you're getting more water. So warm structured water would be key. And structured is really important because it lowers the surface tension of the water. It makes it wetter. Your body doesn't have to spend extra energy to digest it. It can just be used now, and it cleans better. And essentially, if you're suffering from infertility, you have congestion and accumulation of toxins in the body, right, which are leading to dysfunctions. And in each person, that'll express a little bit differently, but the root causes are the same. You'd be also looking at teaching them how to get into that parasympathetic state so that their body has an easier time getting back to homeostasis and that natural balance. Right? And then we would look at exercises as well.
So go ahead. No, go ahead, please. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries. We'd also look at exercises as well. So adding in the pelvic activation squat so that you're increasing the blood flow to that area, which blood flow is essential for moving toxins out and bringing critical nutrients and oxygen in. So we'd look at the whole package, more or less, and get them to start where they're ready and where they're able, and then we add in as it becomes doable, right? Create new and better habits.
What about people, they're like the skinny fat person, I like to call them. So someone who, they can't get pregnant, and they're perhaps they're a little bit underweight, but they're really wiry, I mean, how do we deal with those people? How do we deal with people that are just pedal to the metal, right? And they say, oh, I'm calm, but they're eating themselves from inside, right? So how do we deal with those people?
Well, again, it would come down to looking at their diet, because sometimes they're lacking amino acids. So they really need to get on something like the SON formula, or they're not actually absorbing any of the nutrients they're taking. So they can still have that dysfunctional large intestine issue. So it would be getting on things like the daily cleansing tea, having some black diamond in your diet to help start chelating the toxins that can actually be blocking your body from being able to uptake nutrients. If they're eating meat, go for it.
What about, I mean, if they're so high strung, what about just breathing?
Well, and that's kind of where I was going to go, getting into doing belly button therapy and clapping so that, again, you're getting the body to the parasympathetic state. Because if you're in that place where your adrenals are just like go, 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 and you're getting that exhaustion, you're imbalancing your body chemistry literally just by the brain is a chemist. So that histamine, adrenaline, cortisol, maybe they live off of coffee. I've actually met a few people like that. They're like, well, I just need my coffee. It's like, you realize it's kind of feeding the issue, and that coffee's not a tonic herb. It's not meant to be consumed every day. And if you're going to drink coffee, you should be putting Black Diamond or Black Gold and some C60 in it to actually neutralize or assist in neutralizing the acidity of the coffee and bringing some balance to it. So, and I still wouldn't recommend drinking it every day. It would be like a treat, because I love the taste of coffee. I don't drink it every day because I know the effects that it has on my adrenals and on cortisol levels, and that's just something that's acidifying, and I'm conscious. So I have my other substitutes, and they're great, and I can still enjoy coffee once in a while.
Yeah, that's good information, because people, they don't want to leave their coffee. They don't want it to be, that's one thing that they're not going to let go. But I think, just going back to what you said, like someone who is super high strung, putting them into helping them, giving them some tools to get into that parasympathetic. So like you said, the clapping, the belly button therapy, which is
and the
huge.
breath work, and we cover a lot of breath work techniques in the pelvic restoration that are very powerful, and that's part of that mindful connection as well.
Yeah, keeping the tongue on the roof of your mouth and breathing through your nose. Not breathing through your mouth, because if we go back to the breathing, if you're like, right, that's when you're running away from something. That's when your body thinks that we have to have a fight, or we have to hide or run, or, whatever it is. So if you're consciously, tongue on the roof of your mouth, breathing in and out of your nose, clapping, belly button therapy, visualization is huge. So bringing yourself into parasympathetic, focusing on your whole plant food diet, drinking a ton of structured water, like 3 liters a day. It depends on your size, but 3 is about average for women. 3.5 warm structured water, like you said.
And warm water cleans better.
Warm water cleans. You can't clean the house with cold water. And then doing intentional exercise, intentional nutrition, intentional breathing, right? Being intentional, not just living haphazard, hoping for the best, putting some focus into it, putting some attention and some love, putting some focused love into it. Put your hand on your heart, put your hand on your belly, and breathe into it, and feel the love for yourself, and what's the favorite one that everybody has a difficult with? The mirror work.
Yeah, loving yourself, loving the fact that you're a woman, because so many of us go, oh, there's so many inconvenient things that come with being a woman, and they're really not normal. They're just common because we've had a lot of the knowledge kind of stripped away its importance, right, of connecting and self-loving and self-care, because we're expected to give to everybody else. We have to remember to give to you in order to actually be able to give outwardly. Right. Yeah. So, and the other thing you really get when you come to these courses is you get community and women who are in the same mindset to connect with. And as human beings, one of our foundational needs is community. So, and just from the course in Ixtapa, you could see that connection between the women there, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. And this is something that needs to be talked about more and be something we can be more comfortable with, right? And with each other as women.
What I've really appreciated just being involved in this whole movement is that like you just said, the community that's being built and that has been built, and there's people that I would have never expected that I would have connected with. And now we have a lifelong connection, and when you hear ladies talking, I mean, in all the courses, but when you hear the women speaking and everybody, once they get over the anxiety of what are we doing, everybody calms down, and people are sharing information that, you maybe thought was taboo, or that you thought nobody else had this problem, whatever the problem is, and just, I've really loved connecting and witnessing people making huge changes. So, and you were one of those people, which was very cool. So,
Thank you. Yeah.
is there anything else that you want to? Is there any? Sorry, no. Go ahead.
Is there anything else I want to add? Well, not really. Just that if you're really open to loving yourself well and you want to connect to your sacred feminine, that take massive personal action and go to braveheartnation.com and check out where the pelvic course is going to be. It's only a 3-day course. So if there isn't one really close to you, look at where you want to take a vacation.
I love
and come
that
spend
idea.
3 days.
I love that. The next one, I believe, is going to be in Florida. So,
Nice
I mean,
warm.
anyone who's up in the north, Canada, or not where I am right now.
Nope.
if anyone is up in the north and you want to go for a vacation, why not go and enhance your life? Not just go on a vacation, right? Change your whole world, potentially.
Yeah. The more you know, the better you can do for you. And if you have daughters, there's information that you'll get to pass down to them that is so valuable and will prevent them so much pain, and you'll just be educating them from a totally new level. So they're not going to go get their ovaries taken out. They're not going to go have to have these unnecessary surgeries when we can literally love those parts of our body, right? Like in most cases, we'll say, in 9 out of 10 cases, it's not really necessary to go for the surgeries that we go for down there. It actually is just coming from an imbalance and a misalignment in our lifestyle and in our thinking, because this definitely plays an influential part.
Yeah, it does. I love being with you. I wish you were with me down in Mexico, but
I'm up in Canada, in Calgary, where it's warming up though. Spring is coming. I have hope.
I love it. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining Alicia and myself, Alicia. And we will see you next week with the BraveHeart Women's Show.
Bye, everyone.
You can keep talking.
Okay.